A nation devastated by a pandemic, more than 225,000 dead.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Social injustice and unrest across the country also dominating the political debate.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
He did such harm to the black community, and he called them super predators.
Control of the Senate also at stake, along with key congressional races here on Long Island. The political climate triggering a tidal wave of voters flooding into polling places in what may be the most important election in a lifetime. Welcome back to Newsday's special election coverage. I'm Faith Jesse. Thanks for sticking with us. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're still bringing you the results in the key races. Newsday's team of political experts is also with us, giving you information that you won't get anywhere else. Long Islanders and people around the world are waiting to see how the race for president ends up. Here's a quick overview of the battle for the White House. A really tight race here. It looks like former Vice President Joe Biden just in the lead there. Here's an overall look at how the race is shaping up nationwide. Illinois has gone for Biden. However, other swing states like Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan appear to be leaning towards Trump at this point. If it stays that way, it could be an uphill climb for the former vice president. But just know it's still early, as this is a very different election year. Those numbers are continuing to change. Now, some early numbers on the local level. Here's a look at the race for the 3rd Congressional District, where incumbent Tom Suozzi is being challenged by Republican George DeVolder Santos, and it looks like Santos is taking the lead there. Democrat Jackie Gordon challenging Andrew Garbarino in the 2nd Congressional District. The early numbers show that Garbarino is still in the lead here. In the 1st Congressional District, incumbent Republican Lee Zeldin trying to fend off a challenge from political newcomer Nancy Goroff. And so far, it looks like Zeldin has been able to maintain the lead tonight. The Democratic Party has been spending big to support first-term state senators like Monica Martinez. Republican Alexis Wyke is trying to unseat the incumbent in the 3rd State Senate District. And so far, it looks like Wyke is pulling ahead of Martinez. Another state Senate race that's being watched is between Democrat Laura Ahern and Republican Assemblyman Anthony Palumbo. They're both vying for a seat in the 1st District being vacated by Republican Kenneth LaValle. And right now, it looks like Palumbo is pulling ahead in that race. Newsday's Steve Langford was on hand a little while ago when Nassau Democratic Chairman Jay Jacobs took the stage, claiming victory in 3 races.
Nassau Democratic Party election night here in Mineola. 3 state senators returning to Albany. Here they are.
Based upon the numbers that we're getting now, and what we assume to have at the end of the night on the machines, 3 of our state senators for sure are re-elected. John Brooks, I want to congratulate John, tough victory, no opponent. Anna Kaplan has won a substantial win in her district. And Todd Kaminsky has won once again in his district.
Joining us now to discuss the hot races, Newsday's team of political experts. Let's say hello to columnist Joy Brown, White House correspondent Laura Figueroa Hernandez, and Albany Bureau Chief Yancey Roy. Joining us, you guys have been with us all night, pulling through there. It's 1 a.m. Laura's like, yes, I know. It's time to go home. Laura, let's start with you. We saw former Vice President Joe Biden just speak saying, let's wait it out. We saw President Trump tweet, I'm going to make a statement. It's going to be a big win. What are you hearing from your sources down in Washington?
So I think for Team Trump, they're really framing this as a good night, a really good night for Trump. You have to remember, Trump entered this race in the summer. He was behind Biden by double-digit margins in the polls. And the closer we got to Election Day, there was some narrowing of those numbers. But what we're seeing tonight is an extreme narrowing, right? They're posting numbers that even Trump campaign officials weren't anticipating. Again, it's still early. There's still absentee ballots waiting to be counted. but they're feeling very optimistic over at the White House, where they're celebrating, over at Trump's hotel. So, you know, he's doing well. And obviously, Vice President Biden came out to kind of assure voters, assure his supporters it's not over yet. I think he and the campaign want to continue projecting this message of it's not over till it's over, and let's count every vote. So it's been a long night, and there's probably another long day ahead of us tomorrow.
Long day or long week, we'll see. Let's turn it over to Yancey. We saw Jay Jacob claim 3 dim victories here. Can you speak on that and just, I mean, what are we going to see in the coming days?
Right. Well, the one thing that Jay Jacobs left out there was that they are contesting 9 Senate districts. So to declare victory in 3 out of 9 is just a small milestone in all of this. And in fact, Republicans are leading in the other 6 state Senate contests. But picking up on Laura said about absentees, I think maybe the word here is patience, 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 because this is an unprecedented time with the pandemic and a record number of absentee ballots. But let's set the stage for what we're going to kind of wake up to tomorrow morning on our local races. And as I count them here, I'm looking at being generous and cautious here about not declaring any races done. I think there are at least 9 races from the state legislative delegation and maybe also from the congressional delegation where someone has a lead tonight when your head hits the pillow, and eventually that person is not the one to win the race because there's so many absentees out. So a quick rundown. In the state assembly, Michael Ross, a Republican. Rajini Srivastana, a Republican. Democrat Judy Griffin, all with very small leads that could be reversed in the coming days. In the state Senate, a number of Republicans. Dennis Dunn over Kevin Thomas. Ed Smith over Jim Gorin. Alexis Wyke, right now leading Monica Martinez. And Anthony Palumbo, right now leading Laura Ahern. And in Congress, as we said, George Santos, last number I saw was maybe a little bit ahead of Tom Suozzi, but there are a lot of Democratic absentee votes out there. And Andrew Garbarino has a pretty sizable lead right now over Jackie Gordon, but it's not out of the realm of possibility based on the number, being cautious on that one, saying it's still possible that that could turn around. But everyone should take a look at those races and see how they play out over the next several days, maybe even a week, by the time these absentee ballots are counted, because you might have a case of someone, again, going to bed on election night with a lead and that person not being the winner. That said, if it holds, the point to make here is that in local races, we had been saying all night that Long Island was purple, and whereas Democrats, or rather Republicans, were on the defensive in a lot of other places, they were on the offense on Long Island, and it looks like they're in pretty good shape heading into the count of paper ballots.
Thank you so much, Yancey. And Joy, I want to bring you in on this. I mean, this is such a different year. The big question that everybody has is what now? When are we going to find out these winners? What can you say to that?
A couple of things you got to keep in mind. One, not all of the absentee ballots are into the boards of election yet. 2, the boards of election are not going to start counting absentee ballots until 7 days from now. Number 3, as they count the absentee ballots, lawyers for the different candidates can come in, and I would expect to see lawyers from different campaigns come in, especially if the races seem to be tight, and they're going to be scrutinizing those absentee ballots. We haven't talked about it, but there's a famous case actually on Long Island. It was in the town of Islip. There was a town of Islip. He was a town board member who, it looked like one person won the race on the election night, looked like another person won the race once the votes were done. They went to court, and then the first person won the race. I suspect that if we see close local races here, that we're going to see some of this go on. And again, it's not unusual in normal elections, if you want to say that, to have lawyers for candidates come in and make sure. I think what's going to be interesting here is that if that happens, and I suspect it will in some races on Long Island, you're going to see the same thing happen in some of the national races as well. So don't think you're going to get up in the morning and know it. We may be at this for a while.
Right? I mean, it's a waiting game, right? Well, I want to thank you all so much for being here with us. We got to give a round of applause to them because they've been awesome. Guys, you can continue to check these results. Like Joy said, the race is not over yet. We will have the election results on our website. For Newsday, I'm Faith Jesse.